Well, people, I don't have to tell you, but I'm going to tell you that it's all happening.
It's all happening.
Boy, since the
You're talking about the sequel to Robot Jocks?
that's Robot Wars.
Another sequel.
Yeah. UFO disclosure is underway. Now, whether or not all the information that comes out is true or not, it's almost immaterial because in the public consciousness, in mainstream media, they're reporting what the most recent whistleblower that we talked about last podcast, and that's been all over the news and has been picked up by various mainstream news sources. That is being bandied about. It's being carried on. They're talking about it openly and not in a dismissive way like they used to about 5, even 4 years ago. There has been so much news about UFOs in the past 3 days. I haven't seen anything like this since I started the show. And as long as I can remember, I haven't seen this many UFO headlines, let alone in non-dismissive, offhanded, local news kind of way, where they would read a UFO news headline and then they would laugh it off very dismissively. That it's not happening anymore. Something is occurring, and this is part of the disclosure. What that means ultimately when it comes to actual real information about what is happening, that's to be determined. But I'll start things off with this most recent event out of Las Vegas. You hear about this one, Cratchit, about the UFOs landing down in a family's backyard?
Yeah, they saw 2 guys with huge junk.
They saw something. So I will play this Las Vegas local news story. Now, you can take a listen to how they are approaching this. And I think that's the key here is how local news are, how are they reporting these UFO stories now? Are they being dismissive? Are they engaging? Are they taking it very serious? I would say that this news show is taking more of an even-handed approach. Now, this is a news station that does have on George Knapp. George Knapp, one of the authors of The Hunt for Skinwalker, on Coast to Coast AM, author, broke the Bob Lazar story back in the late 80s, early 90s. So this news station is very familiar with this type of material. So I'll bring this up on screen right here. We'll play the news report, and then we will discuss, okay? Yes. Here we go.
It is the police call everybody will be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. A family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911, saying they saw creatures walking around.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now. And tonight, our David Charnes with the video you will only see on 8 News Now. David?
Yep.
Go back. They said this happened recently, but they've been digging into it for weeks.
Good catch.
Go back about 10 seconds.
Okay. I'll go back right here. Here we go.
There's walking around.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now. And tonight, our David Charnes with the video you will only see on 8.
Yeah, they said digging into for weeks now. Are they talking
I
about...
thought this just happened.
It did. I think it... Under my... Yeah. Like, this was like a recent story. This was...
It's bullshit.
Maybe he's digging into the UFO topic for weeks now.
Could be. And she's just not able to read the prompter.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
She's from the Joe Biden School of Prompter Reading.
We'll see what happens here.
All right.
This is a long news report. It's about 5.5 minutes. We got a long ways to go. Here we go.
Now, David?
Right, Denise, sources telling the News Now investigators that several agencies believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was non-humans or not, it certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large.
Big Jim.
They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us.
He's a massive guy.
Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Good job taking a photo.
Okay.
Well, the 8 News Now investigators obtaining video as officers then responded to the call you just heard. You'll see the officers also saw something in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected?
Leave her alone.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this.
It was weeks
something
ago. Okay.
flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
There's like an 8 foot person beside it, and another one.
So what
beside it, and
we're
it has
looking
big
at on the screen for people just listening is that the police body camera footage shows a streak of light. It looks like a meteor or something like that, but it's bluish green in tint, pretty vivid and not moving. I mean, as far as things in the sky go, not incredibly fast, but it was fast enough. But probably was in the sky about 1.5 to 2 seconds, and then kind of went out of sight or faded out.
They're looking at us, and it's still there.
someone calls 911 reporting 2 large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm so nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm
dude on the
curious.
right.
Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
They see like a big, they see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear? They're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up no concrete answers as of Wednesday. Whatever or whoever fell into that yard, long gone within minutes.
Oh, hey, if those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
What? You're hired to deal with it, dude.
So yeah, this is quite weird, Brian was saying as we're watching this story. Now, we've been in contact with the family in that video, and as you heard in that 911 call, they seem very reasonable and honestly quite scared as you heard them in the call. No, they don't seem impaired in any way, and whatever crashed by the time that police got there was gone, but sources say that there's really no dispute. Something was in their yard. Exactly what? We do not know.
I mean, it's so interesting. So, like, the Metro officer sees something, the neighbor sees something. I mean, so what could it be?
Well, we know that there are obviously a lot of military bases around this area. George Knapp covers a lot of that stuff for us on the 8 News Now investigators. We're showing you drone video from above that area. And we know, of course, Creech not far away, Nellis Air Force Base not far. I checked in with them. They say they are not involved at all, and we are waiting to hear from the Pentagon as well.
And you talked to these people. It seemed completely legitimate to you. And do you have any personal thoughts on maybe what it was?
Right. So it seems from talking to our sources that something happened. There was obviously some flash in the sky. A lot of people saw it that night on the night of April 30th, early in the morning on May 1st. Did that exact thing land in their yard? I don't know.
He is a monster pig
these
goblin.
people said they saw some SUV circling the area. Could this have been some piece of equipment that malfunctioned? Maybe they saw something and then someone came. I can't believe we're talking about this.
Right.
Someone came and retrieved it from the backyard in the SUV. We don't know. This all comes as a former high-level intelligence officer, a veteran, was on News Nation talking about how there is a program where the government collects some unidentified objects. So this might be that. We just don't know. We're going to work to find out, though.
And
Brian
no substances. They were looking with clear eyes.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Not big buggy eyes, though.
This is really unique. Thank you, David.
David.
What's with all these Davids?
I don't know. There's a lot of Davids around.
You'll all be dead
I'm
now.
not skeptical of
David.
I'm not skeptical of any of these stories where there's a David involved. And now this one, we've got like 3 Davids involved.
So to go back to what the young man said in description of these aliens, he said they're about 10 feet tall, shiny, big eyes. Now, I have covered a number of humanoid encounters on this podcast, and in excruciating detail to the detriment of Joe's sanity. It's probably part of the reasons why he had to take some time off. He does not like me talking about humanoid encounters, but I think there are interesting things to learn from these humanoid encounters. I think that some of them are real and that they are from interdimensional entities, not necessarily ETs. Now, I have gone through my book, this book right here, that I have.
You wrote that book?
No. Well, it's my book. It's in my possession, Cratchit.
It's
okay?
mine.
It's
mine
my book.
I crossed the guy's name out, put my name in.
It is the fully illustrated and up-to-date guide, the field guide to extraterrestrials. It's a complete overview of alien life forms written by Patrick Hugh. And I went through this book. They have a specific section on alien giants. None of the descriptions in here match what was described there. Now, granted, there was not much of a description that the kid gave.
He said really tall. Would that be tall Nordics?
He did. He just said tall, big eyes.
Oh, big eyes. Nordics don't have big eyes.
Like glassy, kind of reflective eyes, shiny eyes, and big mouths. He said big mouths. Now, those descriptions do not match anything in here. These are accounts documented by the esteemed Jack Valet and other people. So they've been, as far as humanoid encounters go, vetted by multiple sources. Like there's multiple witnesses to these humanoid encounters, and there's a good story behind them, and there is some evidence that something interacted with these people. Like this one, right? Like there's a description of a 10-foot humanoid that has more robotic features and like 3 like eyes. There's another one that is over here, 8 feet tall, really tiny eyes, no mouths, and then there's one that is like the 15-foot tall, big eyes, but has a cape. So,
a cape.
Yeah. The most, I guess, the closest analogy that what they were describing would be an 8-foot type of alien, but the ones that I've read about that are kind of a classic, like gray, but 8 foot, those typically take place in Central and South America, and there's typically a bluish tint to those encounters. Now, there's no video from this.
The grays don't have big mouths, though. They have a little tiny mouth.
That's the thing. That is the most unique aspect to the description here, is that very rarely do these humanoid encounters include a description of a large mouth. And that was a standout thing here that kind of struck me. It's like, I don't remember ever reading a description of a large mouth on any of these humanoid kind of bug-eyed aliens. And there's no video.
Good job using your phones, guys.
Like there's 3-4 people in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like cell phone footage of what was in their back, and it's not a backyard. It's like it's a back shared like parking lot area where there's a forklift.
Yeah, it's an open lot for like vehicles and stuff. Yeah. It's all gravel.
There's no grass. Like not a backyard. I guess to them, maybe it is. They play basketball.
Yeah, a bunch of pores. Grow some grass back there.
But no video footage that is compelling. Now, this guy did speak out. He started a YouTube channel right after this 911 call. So I don't know what to make of it. James Fox, the UFO documentary filmmaker, he's basically calling this a hoax, and I'm inclined to go along with him. It is pretty extreme for people to call 911 for a hoax, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like, people call 911 for any ding-dong reason. So for this...
I didn't get fries with my burger.
So in this modern day, I have to, and I don't want to, I want to believe the kid. I want to believe the family, but I there's just not enough information to say that there was some. I didn't even see any evidence of any craft landing down, or any sort of interaction.
They said they left in an SUV. So.
Well, they said an SUV was circling, and
the craft suddenly turned into an SUV, and they drove away.
I think what they were trying to insinuate there, that was some sort of Men in Black scenario. Yeah,
yeah. Hey, you guys see it? We dropped some aliens. You see them?
If this was a true encounter, I believe there would be elements of missing time. Now, the witness did say that they did say that they felt disoriented and that there was a sense of like there was something going on mentally with them, but they didn't say anything that there was any sort of like telepathic communication or anything like that. And I could leave it just there. But I wanted to kind of like bring it out here because this story was sent like over and over and over to us, and compelling, interesting. And they did 5 minutes on the local news about this. And while they weren't completely dismissive, they took it serious enough to devote 5 minutes of time, and they investigated it. And they want to believe the family, but there's just simply not enough information right now. And they did tie it into the most recent UFO whistleblower that we talked about last podcast. So a lot of headlines here.
Well, and probably the most important thing, as you pointed out at the beginning, as we get more and more stories like this, they are getting more and more, not quite even coverage, neutral coverage, but it's almost neutral coverage.
Almost neutral.
It's right on the edge, because it used to be in the past. You're right. We'd play a clip and they would start with, "Hey, did you hear about these aliens again?
Little green men coming out of the sky."
Yeah, there's always the second anchor, jacking around over there with like, it's instantly dismissive. Now, if you're going to be on your infotainment local news broadcast, that's fine. But these are the same people who with a straight face tell you about Pfizer and all the rest. So it is nice to see, deserved or not, that they're being at least a little more even-handed with this stuff.
It's definitely a change in pace. Now, when it comes to this week in disclosure, I'll just read down some highlights here. I got another headline that is quite significant. I don't really know what to make of yet, but we'll get to that. So in the weekend disclosure, here we go. So far, we had that whistleblower David, another David, the original David Grouch.
How many Davids are there?
Well, we had that TV guy that was just who did the story. His name is David.
I'm going to stake a claim. I'm now instantly skeptical of any paranormal story involving David.
David!
Too many Davids.
Yeah.
None of you did anything to prevent this?
See? Yeah. At least that guy's David was out doing stuff.
So David, the whistleblower, we talked about last podcast, he talked to the debrief, and his revelation was that the U.S. government is in possession of several craft, including intact craft, one roughly the size of a football field. And the whole hubbub around that is that this stuff is being illegally withheld from Congress, and that there's at least two other whistleblowers that are kind of corroborating some people. I don't know if they're whistleblowers, but they're linked to this story as well. I don't know if they've come forward. Yeah, I don't know if they've come forward or not yet. There's another anonymous person that has been he's been given a name, Jonathan Gray, saying that the U.S. ultimately took possession, and I think this was included in the debrief article, ultimately took possession of a UFO from Italy in 1933. That's when it crashed down in Italy, 1933, and the U.S. obtained that at the end of World War II, and that's in the Inspector General documents as well.
When they obtained that one, did they use the phrase yoink?
Well, I don't think Mussolini was in any position to stop the yoinking. So at the end there.
Yoinking.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. After
World War II? No, I don't think there's any position to stop any sort of transfer of technology or people at that point. So there's another little disclosure story here called the Schellenberger story. The Schellenberger story, which we have multiple anonymous whistleblowers, each with 30 years of working on UFO subjects in the government, and at least 2 testified to both the AARO and Congress. There's a lot of details in there. They say that the AARO doesn't have the authority to even see the stuff that the whistleblowers are talking about, which is the major problem here, is that like the NASA panel that we talked about, they are only examining stuff that's open to the public, and they don't have access to classified stuff. So when a whistleblower comes forward and says, yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff, you should check it out, the AARO can go like, we don't have the authority to see it, so we can dismiss anything you're talking about because we just don't have the authority to declassify or see anything declassified or marked secret. But according to this, there are 12 to 15 craft of different type, craft apparently gifted to us every so often. Generals have touched the craft, and we can fly at least one, and maybe reverse engineer some of them, according to some of the whistleblowers. That kind of echoes what we read with that 4chan post, where we have limited success in reverse engineering some of these objects. And then
also, I'm curious how old they are too. Like they're giving us their old craft.
Yeah, the out of date ones, the ones that don't have like an updated like MP3 player or CD player in them.
Well, is that like us if we were dealing with the primitive society, would like we hand off like an early steam engine powered vehicle?
Well,
here you go.
It's kind of like with Ukraine. We're giving Ukraine all of our outdated weapons, right?
Yeah, they're doing a good job with those too.
Well, I mean, so here's all of our back stock of stuff that we're just not using, is out of date. We were going to replace them anyway, so why don't you have them? And then we have a reason to replenish our stockpile with brand new stuff.
Yeah, but I'm talking even more focused on like the propulsion systems and whatnot. You know, if we give Ukraine a 30-year-old F-16, from the standpoint of the basic operation of it, it's the same as a current one. It doesn't have the higher end avionics, electronics, etc., the better sensors and weapon capability and all that, but still an airplane.
But if we get like a
steam powered thing, the equivalent from the aliens,
it's
and
still
then we're going to spend the next 60 years reverse engineering that, and they're just laughing the whole time because they've got way better stuff now.
It's possible. I'm open to it, especially if things are being gifted to us. We're probably not being gifted the best stuff.
I would hope not.
But here is...
Those aliens are idiots.
Here is a little story here. I'll just play this. This is from a Fox News, and they're talking to Rep. Burchett, and they're talking to him about UFOs and what we can expect in some of these most of the revelations coming forward in relation to whistleblowers and Congress investigating UFOs. So here we go. Play the clip, please.
Oversight Committee will hold a UFO hearing after a military whistleblower claims there is extraterrestrial life. You are leading the investigation in 15 seconds. Will we get answers as to whether or not we're alone?
We're not alone, and we'll get some answers. And I talked to that man yesterday, and I'm hoping that he'll be hearing as well. But we've been planning this for quite some time.
Wow. He did it in 10 seconds, and now I'm utterly terrified.
And we tried to cut him off,
too. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Lady?
Enjoy your Thursday, America.
I mean, that's a pretty significant statement by a United States representative to say we are not alone. And this is in reference... Now, he could say that outside in the public. It's like, yeah, there's life out there somewhere in the universe, but this is directly in reference to the UFO whistleblowers and the UAP investigations in Congress. So is he basically insinuating that they are actively visiting here? And I don't even want to say it's ETs at this point. I'm more comfortable saying ultra-terrestrials or something interdimensional. And I think that's the real rub, is that they want.
And then you go. Yeah, and you go back to the interdimensional demon theory, too.
Yeah, I think that's partially what might be going on here, is like there's an internal battle going on with this information at the Pentagon, defense contractors, whoever's in possession of this material. As we talked about some time ago, Are these entities demons, as some people within the Pentagon believe that they are? That this phenomenon is demonic in nature, and that when this disclosure happens, it will be brought to us as a gift. Like, oh, they're here, they're watching over us, they're basically guardians, and that they're here to help humanity. All we got to do is these 10 simple rules to live our lives, and we will be free. We will have free energy.
You referring to like the 10 Commandments?
I was talking about Jordan Peterson's newest book, 10 Rules to what's his book?
10 what? Who?
Jordan Peterson. He had a new book out.
Does he?
I don't know.
Okay, buddy.
What I'm referring to is the Great Deception from the Antichrist. It's something that I went over in relation to the UFO phenomenon a few months ago. You can check out that clip on our YouTube channel. But there we go. A United States representative saying we are not alone.
Yeah.
It's 12 rules for life, not 10.
12 rules for life. Okay, then the aliens are going to give us 12 rules for life. And we got to do it.
Okay.
Here's his previous book, still a New York Times #1 bestseller.
How many books does he have at this point?
A lot.
Oh,
very prolific.
Suck.
Wait a second. I don't know if that's a real book title right there. You have a Jordan Peterson book up on screen, and the title is "Wash Your Penis" by Jordan B. Peterson. That can't be that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real book. I'd buy it though.
Me up. That's when you get a fake cover and you sit on the bus reading.
12 ways to wash your penis.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, that's the next one.
We have to act.
Yeah. So there you go. And I have one more interesting story related to UFOs. I mean, I got more, but I think this is but what people can take at this point, because it is very overwhelming, everything that's going on. And so I'll just transition over there to this next story, please. Yeah.
I like this right here.
Wait, are we still on?
We're still on UFOs?
Still on UFOs? Okay, because I did want to mention before you get too far afield from that, Arthur C. Clarke wrote a book in the 50s, I think, called Childhood's End, which is about aliens showing up on Earth. And they delve directly into the general mythos of aliens and demons being being basically the same thing throughout history.
Choker.
So, if anyone's interested in that one, excellent book. It's one of those books that most people are forced to read in high school or junior high, and you hate it, and then you go back and read it as an adult, and it's a great book. So, highly recommended. Childhood's End, Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah, the documented strange cases throughout history that Jack Valet has written about. Obviously, they have like a religious tone in nature because just simply the time and period and the people that were interacting with this strange phenomenon at the time. And it does seem to have evolved over time as our human understanding of technology has increased over time. The complexity of these encounters has also kind of gone up. It's almost like there is a ratio there, a percentage there, where the more we're able to comprehend technologically, the more advanced these encounters seem to be. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to say it is.
Do you think that's just simply a reflection of, as the people experiencing these visitations, visions, whatever you want to call it, are more sophisticated in their, I don't know, they're a little more worldly wise, and so they are better. They're better. I'm trying to think how to phrase this.
They can articulate their experience a little bit more.
Yeah, they're better at explaining what they're seeing, as opposed to magical ball of light stop, and now they saw this and it had this, and there's been enough science fiction in movies and TV and in books and comics that they can apply what they're seeing and experiencing to those sorts of things and describe it in those terms.
I think so. And I think the more we create, the more fiction we create, the more stories we have of the multiverse, the more stories we have about aliens, it actually creates a feedback loop in our consciousness and the reality that we're in. Like this simulation, whatever this world we live in, this reality we live in, it's like a feedback loop, and our consciousness feeds into it, and at the great cloud server up there takes our thoughts and produces things or allows things to be produced off of those thoughts. It's kind of like a weird feedback loop that's happening here. Like Sam Tripoli calls it, we live like in basically a haunted house. Like this world is a haunted house.
Yep.
I don't think he's very far off there. Something like that. Because what is being documented on Skinwalker Ranch combines paranormal, ghosts, supernatural entities, cryptids, alien encounters, Bigfoot encounters. It's got everything. It's a haunted house there. And I think what they're trying to talk about in Congress in relation to UAPs is a start, but the story is much longer and much more complicated than I think the public is ready for.
Oh, so you think they still have to use the slow drip theory to get it out there?
I mean, it seems like an avalanche at this point in one direction. The avalanche is going towards ETs. And Richard Dolan, who wrote a book called After Disclosure, he and his co-author, they talked about the ways in which disclosure would happen. And they kind of came to the conclusion that it would be a slow drip. What's happening now seems like we've gone off a cliff a little bit to where now it's like a hurry up. There's a new UFO headline every week, every few days. And it's getting significant traction in the press. And they did not envision this type of disclosure happening in their book. They just thought it would be a slow drip over multiple decades, which you could probably claim has happened with media and movies and all that kind of stuff. But now it's snowballing, and it's almost out of control. And this next story will underscore that, because this is a fascinating little story here. Let's see if I can bring this up on screen, please. Yes. This comes from the Daily Mail. Okay? So keep that in mind. The Daily Mail. And here is the headline for everyone out there listening. Marine vet breaks 14-year silence to make astonishing claim that his 6-man unit saw a hovering octagonal UFO being loaded with weapons by unmarked U.S. forces who threatened them at gunpoint while serving in Indonesia in 2009.
Oh, really?
That's a hell of a headline there.
Wait, so now we're stirring up shit in alien civil wars?
Are we using UFOs now, UFO technology to transport weapons? That's what I'm getting out of that headline there. It's a crazy headline.
I love that headline.
Let's take it to the logical conclusion. What we're doing in Ukraine, where we're just openly laundering money by shipping a bunch of weapons over there. Are we doing this for off-world or interdimensional conflicts as well?
If you follow some of the UFO secret space program stuff, like Solar Warden and the hacker Gary McKinnon, who in 2002, 2003 broke into some NASA servers and saw a spreadsheet of off-world deployments, that would kind of lean towards this direction, that we have some sort of conflict that we're trying to supply weapons to off.
Oh, you're saying we're involved in this conflict?
Possibly.
Who was the guy who served for like 15 years fighting on Mars?
That was, I forget that guy's name, but he's part.
We covered that in depth. There was a lot of detail to that one.
I don't. So
he's fighting the lizards on Mars.
He is part of the the secret space program group of people. I put him in with the Corey Good group of people where they believe they served, but they don't even believe this. They're just saying they served 20 years and then had age regression technology used on them. I don't believe that. Corey Good, even in his court deposition, basically said he's making it up. And that guy who we talked about serving on Mars, it's a fun story. It's a fantastical story. I don't believe him. I think he's just full of malarkey.
Fiction. We made it up.
You just made it up.
Happened.
It never happened. But he's selling books.
It's a made-up tale. We made this one up.
Exactly.
Jonathan Frakes.
He did it.
Pure fiction.
Now, back to the story of the Marine.
By the way, just what a pisser of a show for him to lead you through like 10 minutes of some story and at the end be like, yeah, we made that up too.
We got you.
So everything we just watched was a total waste of time, is what you're telling me, Jonathan. Yes.
It never happened.
Back to this headline here. Marine vet breaks silence that he saw. His 6-man unit saw a UFO being loaded with weapons. So a former Marine claims he and 5 comrades saw a flying saucer being loaded.
Comrades?
Yeah, I know. I'm looking like...
What the hell?
You don't use that in relation to U.S. Marines.
No.
Typically that terminology is used in relation to...
For dirty commies.
Yeah. So what's up with this story? You know, I don't know.
It's a made-up tale.
We'll find out.
Someone needs to do a Jonathan Frakes themed fact check service.
Yeah, we should. So a former Marine claims he and 5 comrades saw a flying saucer being loaded with weapons while serving in Indonesia in 2009 and was threatened at gunpoint by unmarked U.S. forces at the scene. The wild story comes after Air Force whistleblower from the government's UFO office joined growing numbers of intelligence officials claiming the U.S. has recovered and is reverse engineering crashed or landed non-human spacecraft. Michael Herrera was a 20-year-old rifleman sent on a Navy humanitarian mission during a 2009 Sumatra earthquake for the Sumatra earthquake and tsunami that devastated the region. In an exclusive interview with the dailymail.com, he claims that while guarding an Air Force drop of aid supplies outside the city of Pagan in October of that year, his 6-man team stumbled across a hovering octagonal craft in apparent use by clandestine U.S. forces. That's quite a story there.
This is quite the story.
This is quite the story. They have a picture up on screen right now of a drawing, and the UFO appears to be pyramid in like form. If you're just looking at it like through as a silhouette, but it's basically like a dish, like almost like a stereotypical UFO. So take that for what it's worth. The craft was rotating in a clockwise motion while changing colors. It had an audible hum to it, like the sound of a transformer or a guitar amp. What kind of guitar amp? We talking Marshall? We talking Mad amp? We talking Orange?
Guitar amps, if wired correctly, should not have a hum. If you've got a ground hum in there, you've got some bad connections and wiring.
If you plug in a guitar, when I turn on my Marshall 100 watt Marshall 900, I just turn it on. There's like a gentle hum to it. When I plug in my guitar to it, you're going to get a hum. It's just what's going to happen. It's going to be there. But yeah, there shouldn't be any
your cabling.
Yeah, no, my cable is fine. I got to check. What happens? It was octagonal shape with a pyramid at the top, and at the top of it that was black. So there you go. Let's see what else he says. After 14 years of silence, he was emboldened by new UFO whistleblower protections and in April testified under oath to the government's UFO investigation team, the All-Domain Anomaly Research Office, as well as a Senate committee. So this is probably what they were referring to during the hearing and the NASA committee, that they have a lot of testimony from people. First-hand accounts, eyewitnesses, but no pictures, no data, no video to back it up. And so...
And this was 2004, 2005?
2009.
Oh, 9. What the hell, dude? Use your phone.
They have a lot of testimony from people, but not a lot of hard evidence. It goes on to say here, he provided his unblemished 4-year service record and text about the incident with an alleged fellow witness who refused to talk, saying it's not worth my life or jeopardizing my family. This guy's like, fuck it, I don't got a family or wife, so I'm just going for it. So that's probably what he's saying. But he's now 33, does not have any documentation or photos of the incident itself. The Denver native joined the Marines fresh out of high school and had been serving for less than 2 years when he was deployed to the Philippines as part of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit to help distribute aid in the wake of a typhoon. So around October 8th, he and 5 Marines were dropped off at a clearing in the northeastern part of the city by a CH-53 chopper. Is that a Chinook?
No, it's Chinook is CH-47.
Oh, okay.
CH-53 is the... shit. I'll think of a minute. Whatever. It's a big boy.
They hiked up 900 foot to a ridge to take their positions.
Stallion, Super Stallion. There.
Okay.
Found it. Brain got there.
They hiked up 900 feet to a ridge to take their positions for incoming supply drop. It was then he spotted a large, strange object in the jungle on the other side of the hill. Quote, I could see something moving and rotating. It was changing colors between a very light matte gray to a very dark matte black. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Oddly, when he said they had not been given radios, so instead of calling it in, they edged down the hill in formation to investigate. While Horace snapped photos and videos on his Panasonic camera, the thing was massive, the size of a football field, he said.
Wait, where's the photos and videos then?
Exactly. He did everything he was supposed to do. It is kind of curious they weren't given radios. It's like, I'll read the rest of the story. Were they dropped off here as some part of psychological experiment?
Not if they're assisting with recovery efforts and things.
I don't know. Maybe they could have been dropped off there. So drop them off over there. We'll do this kind of psyop on them about UFOs and see what their experience is. Who knows? Well, I'll continue reading. The craft was rotating in a clockwise motion while changing colors. It had an audible hum to it, like the sound of a transformer or a guitar amp. It was octagonal shape with a pyramid at the top, and it was black. It had scales that were on the outside of the craft that covered the whole craft. It seemed like sharp edges, which I suspect to be man-made. Nothing on it was smooth. It had some panels on the vertical edge that were like Vanta Black. I'm not sure what Vanta Black is.
Isn't Vanta Black that new type of paint that
absorbs light?
Absorbs like all light, so it almost looks like felt or something. I think
that's right.
There's like a...
so Vanta Black is a synthetic material. That's the one that reflects all light out, so you can't. It's hard to even see the surface. It's so dark.
So this person claimed that when he and his 5 comrades got within 150 feet of the craft, they were ambushed by 8 men wearing all black camouflage. Is it camouflage if it's all black?
Exactly.
Why weren't they wearing Vanta Black? You'd be like, where are they?
So that he's basically saying they were ambushed by ninjas. The bad ninjas, because they're dressed in all black. The good ninjas probably are all white, right?
You know, that's a good point. It sounds like people who are ninjas. In the early 80s, there was a movie called The Octagon with Chuck Norris, and here we have a discussion of an octagonal-shaped UFO and ninjas.
And before the show, we were talking about the movie American Ninja. So, just putting that out
with
there.
Michael Dudikoff?
Yep. He and his five comrades got within 150 feet of the craft where they're ambushed by 8 men wearing all black camouflage, bulletproof vests, wielding M4 rifles with high-end night vision attachments given to elite U.S. troops. Quote, they had their weapons drawn on us. We could audibly hear their weapons safety levers flip off of safe. Quote, who the F are you guys? What are you doing here? 2 of them yelled with American accents, he said. They said
sounds like special forces who are up to no good.
Quote, they said we're not supposed to be there and that they could kill us. As
could it have been the Delta Force? There's another Chuck Norris.
Interesting. Connection. Maybe. What is Delta Force doing nowadays? Maybe they're on UFO detail.
They're trying to teach aliens the words of the Delta Force theme.
This is how you run guns. This is what we're showing the aliens. As the men continued to threaten them, took the Marines' weapons and dumped their ammunition and scanned their military IDs. This Marine said he saw others loading large weapon cases and other containers from modified Ford F-350 trucks onto a platform beneath the truck. So they're still using good old American Fords to load the UFO. How do we know this UFO wasn't built by Chrysler or Ford? Maybe it was a Chevy.
That's weird that they would. Why would they have shipped Fords over there to? This was Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a Buick UFO. When the last two
they would use local vehicles.
When the last two trucks finished unloading and drove off, the lower part of the platform rose off the ground about 10 feet, and the craft lowered to meet it, and it came together into one piece. On the corners of the craft, it had lights that were changing between blue, red, yellow, and green. It rose off the ground and a little past the trees, then it shot off to our left towards the ocean around 4,000 miles an hour. That's what he's claiming here.
How would he know that?
That's a very good estimation of speed. If he's just like, maybe he's able to calculate it because he knew his distance to some other landmark there. I don't know, but
he watched the thing lift off and then head off over the trees, and then he estimates 4,000 miles an hour. I don't know.
That's what he's saying here.
Honestly, anything leaving at a decent rate of speed. Now, if he'd said it took off and left much more quickly than he's used to seeing from other helicopters and things like that, that's different. But
he could have said it just left something like over the speed of sound. But he was very specific.
Because he's used to watching helicopters lift off and fly away slowly as they gain speed till they get up to 150 or 200 knots. But if he's watching this thing take off much quicker, kind of like we've seen in Flight of the Navigator, but that wasn't going 4,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, for me, it would be tough for me to distinguish anything going over like 700 miles an hour. You could say 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I would be like, okay, sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Warp 3.
Yeah, probably. It's going warp 5. How do I know? Quote, we can't believe this effing happened. From a dead stop, it didn't make any sound like a sonic boom. It didn't disrupt the trees like rotor wash would. We could see coconuts on the trees, and none of them were disturbed. He said the 8 unmarked soldiers gave them their unloaded guns and marched them back over the hill, still telling us how they could kill us. It's bragging at that point. Once we got over the hill, they told us to get the F away from here and don't look back. Now, here's the document here that he filed. 6 Marines ran back to the aid drop site where they were scolded by their gunnery sergeant for returning early. Oh, why? Okay, maybe they're supposed to go over there and see that. Adding that they all kept quiet about the disturbing encounter. I was like effing scared, the veteran said. I was thinking I could have been killed. How the hell am I going to explain this? Back on the USS Denver, Herrera's unit was debriefed by the rear admiral he didn't recognize. He said that it was odd to have such a high-ranking officer there, and again, none of them mentioned the saucer and unmarked troops. A few days later, they docked in Subic Bay in the Philippines.
Subic Bay.
Subic Bay in the Philippines, the Marine said. After an evening of drinking with colleagues, he returned to find that his camera's card and battery were removed from his locker, along with his 5 comrades' phones missing. There you go. So very interesting.
Well, this experience here rings truer, and there's more details than a lot of the other descriptions. So.
Absolutely, much more true than the Vegas humanoid encounter that we talked about.
The Goblin.
Give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. Check out obdmpod.com for all the social media and donation links.
be a part of the magic.